All right. Sam joins me now via Skype. Sam, it's so good to have you with us today.
Such an honor to be with you guys. Listen, you guys are just doing great things all around our world. I'm honored.
Oh, thank you so much. Right back at you. Well, let's go back to that moment. I mean, you met your birth mom on a national TV show. I mean, what was that like? And I mean, did you always have a desire to meet your birth mom?
Yeah, I think it was like anyone else would probably think it would be shocking and overwhelming. I think if you
Mm.
watch the show, when I put my head down as soon as my mother walks out because I'm frozen. I have 100 different emotions happening at one time. I don't know which one to choose. I'm on national television. My sister is crying. I'm not crying. I feel like I need to be crying, but I'm also surprised. And so I just kind of put my
Yeah.
head down to kind of collect myself. It was incredible, and it was amazing, and it was also shocking. And I
Hmm.
think in terms of when you talk about this idea of a desire, I always say this, if adoption is done really well, very loving, very supportive, then it can fill the holes that one would normally feel if they were adopted. And so we never quite had any desire or non-desire to meet
Hmm.
them. But my father said, who adopted us, he said, "It's time. It's time."
Wow. Well, not only did you meet your mom that day, but you also met your siblings. Did you know you had other siblings before meeting them?
Short answer to the question, no. Same mother,
Okay.
same father in our lives. We had never seen anyone that looked like us. And so when my brother
Mm.
walks out and he's bald, I'm like, whoa. I'm like, when did that happen? I'm like, Mine happened around 24." He said, "Yeah, that's when it happens, right?" And then when my sisters walked out and they were identical, it was incredible. My parents that raised us, they always said, "We think you might have some siblings, but we're not that sure." So it was amazing when they walked out.
Yeah. Well, did you have to come to like a place of reconciling the fact that your mom gave you and your twin sister up for adoption and not your other siblings?
Yeah, I think that was the greatest tension of all. And I think when we talk about this idea of God, one of the biggest tensions for the Christian in America and around the world is why God decides to do what He do the way He wants it, the way He wants to do it. I think being a Christian, and the deeper I go in the faith, and even in teaching of the Scriptures, the more I realize that I have to be okay with not understanding everything, but trusting God anyway, even when I don't understand. Very similar to Job. Job went through so
Hmm.
much. Joseph even went through so much that was confusing, but yet they still trusted. And it led to what we're calling a greater story. That
Yeah.
I think for me, just believing and knowing that God is good and He wrote the plan the way He wrote it because He had
Mm.
something greater. And I think I'm living in that greater now.
Yeah, I love that. Well, switching gears a little bit, you grew up in the ATL, hot Atlanta, down south,
Yeah.
and you talk about it in your book that that's really like the mecca of Black culture. How has that influenced you in your life?
Oh, it's changed everything. It has fully shaped me. Um, Growing up on Auburn, I have a picture when I was 6 of sitting on John Lewis's lap. We just lost Congressman John
Hmm.
Lewis. My
Yeah.
dad was cutting his hair. I found out that my uncle that passed away a couple months ago, who gave my dad the barbershop, used to be really good friends with MLK's dad. And I'm very close to MLK's daughter. And so I think
Wow.
with all of those relationships and growing up on Auburn, the birthplace of kind of civil rights here in
Hmm.
Atlanta and in Georgia and kind of in the South, it taught me that my color didn't have to be a crutch, but that it
Wow.
could be an opportunity to overcome, because I saw so many people around me that had overcome despite the oppression that we all know that Black and brown people have faced in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of that, I mean, obviously, we're living in unprecedented times from COVID-19 to the death of George Floyd, many others, social unrest. Now we're in
Yeah.
hurricane season for the East Coast. I mean, what is your prayer for our nation right now?
Wow, I think we're living in one of the greatest times for social progress in my lifetime. I'm 32 years old. I think in the last 32 years, or even the last 50 years, we've never quite been in this moment. And the reason I'm more encouraged than I've ever been is because despite the riots, right, despite a lot of the unrest, um, we were having conversations that we've never had before. I always say this: I've got
Mm,
friends on the white side, I've got friends on the black side, I've got Hispanic, I've got Asian, all so on and so forth. And I think the greatest tension that we were facing was that we were having conversations, but I don't think we were speaking the same language. And so I found
mm,
myself a couple of weeks ago in a conversation with my black friends that said, "Oh, it's not, we're not talking about the outliers, but oh man, I think it's not that white people don't care about me; it's that they didn't fully understand my reality." And then on the white side, going, I think there are a couple things that I didn't know that now I'm learning. And I think we're finally having what I would call a breakthrough moment. And so I'm so excited about the progress that we will face in this, that we will come into. And I'll say this as a last statement around this. In the civil rights movement, when Dr. King passed or helped to get passed so many different laws in terms of voting, in terms of lunch counter sit-ins, in terms of the buses and all of that, the bedrock or the foundation of how those changes were able to happen was through revelation, and it was also through relationship. Him and the
mm.
president sat down after different protests and so on and so forth, and understood each other, and together crafted a solution for this country to move forward.
So good, so good. Well, Sam, thank you so much for being with us. I encourage everyone to get his book, A Greater Story. It's available wherever books are sold. Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Key. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so we can reach more people with encouraging content like you just watched, and so you never miss a beat. See you next time, and God bless.